Hey everyone, Joe here, and today's For What's Cracking, it is Jack LaFountain, the author of Return to Deadwood. I love it. I love it. Good
Yeah.
morning to you.
Oh, thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
Oh, anytime, anytime. I have a quick question because whenever you hear Deadwood, you immediately think of the series, the
Oh,
series of
yeah.
that. What made you go with that, to Deadwood?
Actually, strangely, I haven't seen the series, but
Really? Oh my gosh,
uh,
it's
for
phenomenal.
the last 3 years, right about this time of year, actually, it'll be not this weekend, but the next weekend. I go to Deadwood for an event called Wild Deadwood Reads. It happens during Wild Bill Hickok weekend. There's a group of authors that we meet there and have a huge book signing, readings, classes. It's just a great event, and
Amazing.
I've made it my point for me every year when I go there, I write a new book just to have there, and
Really?
and it has to do with the event actually. The very first year I wrote one, I called it Dead Man's Hand because Hickok's so famous. Yeah, there's get
Ace of
killing it,
Spades. Yeah.
and I wrote a short story in the book about this author that goes to a book signing event in Deadwood. After the event's over, he has a heart attack in the casino,
Oh no.
and he kind of hovering between life and death. He wakes up. He's playing draw poker with the characters in the stories in the book, and Hickok when he's killed.
Cool.
And I had people when I got back that they said, "Did you really have a heart attack when you went at that?" No, no, I was just having fun with you.
Oh,
That's
yes, I did.
mine anyway. And he's been in all three books. I just call him the unnamed author. Uh, he's been there twice and died both times. Uh, but he's going back the third time this year. And
He's got a punch card. Third time's a charm. It's like,
yeah,
I'm dead. I'm staying dead this time.
yeah, yeah. He had his brother goaded him into it. He wasn't going back and tempting fate that he would survive three times.
The third time. So walk me through this because I love that you're making this for the festival. That's an amazing idea. But what got you the first one? Did you find the festival first, or did you write first, or?
Actually, I found the festival first, but I had four
Okay.
short stories that were already written, and I was looking for a way to put those into a single volume of stories. And this event in Deadwood popped up. My editor said, we should go to that, and that's a great. We can take these stories. There are four short stories, and there's two stories about each character in the book. And like the fifth one, the card that's not an ace or an eight, is the
Right.
story about playing poker with Hickok.
That's very cool. So what's your interest in Hitchcock? What's your interest in the West?
I just love the West. I write westerns, but not so much your normal westerns. Most of my westerns are I call it cowboys, Indians, and werewolves.
Nice. Normal versions of it.
Yeah, I've got a series that I did with those, and I had one of my friends who reads my books and really doesn't like monster stories, and she said, "Would you please write me a western that doesn't have a monster in it?"
Sure was.
So I started her a series of westerns as well, but
That's very cool. That's very cool. So when you're doing this, you started out as a paranormal writer then,
yes, yes, very much so.
and you incorporate your world building is based upon the historical Wild West,
Yeah, yeah,
then paranormal.
yeah, and Return to Deadwood is very much that. A lot of the stories there are a dozen short stories in there,
Right.
and they're all based on either Native American folklore from South Dakota, actual locations in South Dakota, and a few are true stories. One of the stories is about the the oldest unsolved murder in South Dakota,
Really?
which took place during World War II.
Oh, wow.
It's still unsolved, and I kind of I brought all the facts of the case out, but then I fictionalized, the names and conversations and things
Right.
that went on. But
So what was your research for that?
I was I wanted to do something more centered on South Dakota since we were going there this time.
Right.
The first book was the second book. Not so much happened in South Dakota, but since we've had such a great time there, I wanted to center in on stories that basically had to do with
Right.
the area. A lot of them take place in the Black Hills or Deadwood. A few are
There.
other
Yeah.
other places in the state that I picked up information stories. Ran into one cryptid character that I'd never heard of before,
Really?
and I got to do a story about this one.
Oh, that's amazing. Do you remember which cryptid it was?
It's called the Miniwashitu.
I haven't heard that one.
I hadn't heard of it before either, and I look at a lot of them, but
Huh.
it's this creature that's got like spines all along its back, and it lives in the water of the Missouri River. And
Wow.
in at change of season, it uses the spines in its back to crack the ice on the river.
Oh, very cool.
And yeah, and
Wow.
the legend is if you look at it in the daytime, you'll go insane.
Wow. So someone had to see it though, and in the legend, it's explaining how people are just going crazy in that area.
Yeah, I don't know if that's where it's derived from.
Yeah.
I just thought the character was great. There weren't many pictures of it that I could find, but I did find a few. But
That's cool.
yeah, I just thought the stories. That's crazy. You got a creature. If you look at it, you go insane. I hadn't heard of that before.
It's amazing. It's like staring into the sun too long, And then you go through this, and I have also been through the areas you're talking about, and I've been through oh my God, the Black Hills, right? And even places like Devil's Tower later, it's more of that geography of, right?
Right.
Where's your favorite place to go? Just curious.
Probably my well, and it really doesn't have anything to do with but one of my very favorite places to go is the Shiloh battlefield in Tennessee.
Really?
I
Shiloh, wow.
I usually go there once a year on the anniversary of the battle or very close to it.
Oh, wow.
That's my favorite place to visit. But like I said, I've been 3 years now. My editor and we've kind of made it our sort of a working vacation that we go to Deadwood every June.
Well, that's very cool. So it's basically you are a historian. You're a history buff. This is what
I am, yes,
very much drives it, and that informs your fiction. So that's the history of it. Why the paranormal?
I just like to, basically I tell the authors that I help, along is, always where do stories come from? I said, well, they come from asking what if. Okay, so here you have this historical situation, but what if it happened this way instead? Or what if this happened, in the course of it? And then trying to fill that in. That and when I was young, I was hooked on all the Universal monster
Oh my gosh,
films.
I love him. Like the Frankensteins and like the Draculas and the creature from the Black Lagoon. When you watch it, did you watch that as an adult lately? The creature?
I did probably about 4 or 5 months ago, I think.
Okay, so as a kid, did it change your way of looking at the creature? Because he's basically just living in his own little place, and people come and destroy his house.
Yeah, yeah.
This entire story, I'm like, as a kid, I was like, oh my God, it's so scary. I'm like, no, the scary part is the humans.
Yeah, oh yeah. That might be a great story idea to do a story from the creatures.
The point of view, absolutely. That's great.
I did one a while back. I wrote a story from Bigfoot's point of view.
Really?
I lived in the Pacific Northwest for a few years before I retired, and had all these stories.
Oh, cool.
That I blended together into Bigfoot stories for this book, and I needed another one. I said, well, what if I write a story from Bigfoot's point of view?
I love it. I absolutely love it, because a lot of these times we are telling stories of these cryptids or something like, like the legends of Bigfoot, where we are pushing our own fears on nature.
Right. Mm-hmm.
As like, well, what does nature really do to us? Not much. It gives us life. What do we in nature. We destroy it.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, yeah.
that's how it does. So when you're going through all of this, you are primarily a short story writer, yes?
No, not really. I have, what is it? I'm not sure whether it's 5 or 6 short story collections, but I have about 17 novels.
Nice. So it's primarily a novel. What's the difference between your long form and your short form, like writing
Um,
wise?
I don't know if there's a whole lot of difference,
Okay.
because people that read the novels say they're very fast paced, they move very quickly, and that's kind of the way I meant for them to be. I've had a lot of people say, "Well, you should make this short story into a book," and I'm most of the time I'm no. I told the story. That's the story.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I can reflect that. Usually, what happens, I'm a writer too, and bit same
Right.
as you, like short story and novel, and it's either short story writers who want to become novelists. Their short stories are like 12,000 pages long.
Yeah.
It's like, oh my, it's like the longest short story you'll ever read in your life. Or conversely, people who tell the quick boom boom short stories and are really tight with it usually have a quicker paced novel, and it's a great extension. But you're right, once you tell a story, why am I telling it again?
Yeah. I wrote one. Well, the first Western story that I did with the werewolf, I wrote it, and that's it. That's it. That's the story. I'm not doing any more. Then I had an editor that joined with me later and said, "You left a whole opening that there can be another story to this. Why don't you write one?" And I broke down and did. Same thing happened with the friend that asked me to write a Western for. I wrote a Western. I said, absolutely, that's the end of the story. And no, we want one more. So I did one more, and then I said, now I'm done. And because I've told this guy's story, and that's it. And again, the editor said, yeah, but you created this whole town with all these other people in it. You can
Yes.
tell their story.
Yes, and that's exactly it. It's going all the way back into the Troilus and Cressida with Chaucer. Like, you can take from the Troy story small characters, and now they're entire novels or short stories of their own,
Right.
and they just keep spinning off. Your birth was the town,
Right.
right? And now
Yeah.
you can tell I love that idea, and because you're not retelling the same story, you're now expanding a
Right.
universe.
Yeah,
When
one book that I put out about a month ago. It's called Pandemonium. I wrote a trilogy of these Red River stories, where again the cowboys, Indians,
yeah,
werewolves, they live along the Red River, and in the last one, there's a sort of a gunslinging preacher that comes to town, and everybody thinks he's the werewolf to start with, but he's not. But I did, like I said, I finished a trilogy. I said that's all of those I'm doing. But then I did a spin-off of this character, someplace else. So
it's interesting because okay, maybe this is me projecting a bit, but when you're rating and you got these characters, do the characters, not necessarily the main character, but like the spin-offs, do they come in your imagination saying, hi, I have a story to, like, do they want their story told also?
yeah, oh yeah, yeah,
Yeah, okay. So
yeah.
it's just me, good. I'm like, oh my God.
People, I tell people all the time that my characters wake me up sometimes at night,
Yes.
and they've got these ideas they want me to write. And somebody asked me about writer's block one time, and I said, well, in the one series that I've got for sure, if I'm not don't seem to be coming up with the idea, I tell them I just start writing the story anyways, the way I want it.
Yes.
And next thing I know, the characters are saying, "Oh no, you've got it all wrong. It goes this way."
It's character driven. Absolutely.
Yeah,
Like most great writing is character driven because you never know. You might have like the start and end we kind of want to go, but the characters will correct you.
yeah, oh yeah,
They're like, once they become fully autonomous, like, no, we can't do this. We're so sorry. This is like the scary movie premise. Like, why would anyone actually do this as a character?
yeah,
Because the plot's making them.
right,
Whereas good writing is kind of like, no, these people are people. Like, they'll think through this a bit. I love that idea. Now, when they wake you up at night, do you get up and write right then?
Not always. Sometimes I just spend time thinking along the lines they're going,
Yeah.
and when I get up in the morning, yes, I'll do it. I have gotten up though, and I thought I've got to write this down, or I'll never remember it.
Yes, I will always forget it. Or the whole, the Keith Richards doing, what was the Satisfaction riff in his sleep, like you always have a recorder next to you somewhere. When you are writing, are you using your keyboard? Are you a long form? Are you like a pen and paper scribbler first? Do you draft it out or what?
Not anymore. I did when I started writing. It's all pen and paper, and I used putting it in a document form online as sort of my very first edit.
Really?
Rewrite or revising the draft or whatever. That's and cool. Then it got to where I had so many squiggly lines. So, this sentence goes over here. This goes over. I finally just found cut and paste was so much easier. Plus, I could read that.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's like sometimes you're like, I hope I have a better idea, so I can't read this one.
Yeah.
Well, this used to be. I don't know what this is. So when you're doing this, do you use like Microsoft Word? Can you have people have like Scrivener or Valiant? I mean, like they always have these little tricks and tips. And
I just use Microsoft Word. I have used I can't think of the name of the one I used for a while, but I always had trouble with it when it came to dialogue.
Okay.
It wanted to, and I still do. Some people say they use Grammarly, and I have Grammarly on. It's on, but it doesn't do dialogue well.
No, the suggestions are like you click through most of them and accept like 2 out of 100.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like this is not proper. Like I know it's not proper. It's not supposed to. Especially you were doing the westerns. Like it better not be proper.
Oh yeah.
Grammar like this is great English. Like I don't know.
yeah, I do that, and then I have a series that's based basically in Louisiana, and there's a Cajun ghost that's in the story.
I was going to say Cajun sound.
Well, he says he's a guardian angel, but I don't know, a ghost or a guardian angel. But he looks after the main character, and when I want to write when he has something to say, Grammarly just goes crazy on that.
She's like, I don't know what this is anymore. Yeah, there's actually, oh man, I looked at Pro Writing A lately, and there's a new function where it says ignore dialogue. I'm like, yes.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, that would be good.
Ignore the dialogue. Anything between the quote marks were good. Yeah, absolutely. I think you're right. There's some things that like people will try to push, and it's just like, man, like there's so many different writing programs that you start micromanaging everything. Just Microsoft Word.
Yeah.
Done. You're done. That's it.
Yeah. I like just Word. It works pretty well, I think.
Yeah. Do you have a writing schedule, or is it kind of when you have it, you do it?
Well, I try to write every day.
Okay.
It's not always on whatever book that I'm working on. I write 3 blogs, and so I have a schedule for those. One's on Wednesday, one's on Friday. Well, no, take that back. One's on Wednesday, one's on Saturday, one's on Sunday.
It's amazing.
So I have to get those done before I can do anything else. And then I'm also a partner in this publishing company that does my books, and I spend a lot of time editing. I do first edits.
Do you really?
On the books that come in, yeah. So
is that a different part? It has to be a different part of your brain. Did you ever, when you first edit something, ever go like, this is a really good idea, but I would have done it this way?
Yeah, I have on occasion. I do that. Yeah.
Yeah, you see the ideas like, oh, I know they're trying to go with this, but that landing, they're not sticking the landing.
Yeah, that's
it's hard. It's hard. Has any writer ever pushed back on your edits? I'm just curious.
Oh yeah,
of course, right?
Yeah. Especially the ones I get that especially push back on that is they'll have this very detailed opening couple of chapters, and I'll tell them that's an info dump, and your story really starts on chapter 3.
Yes, always, absolutely. If people who never wrote or edited before don't really, if you just write, you might not see this, but story starts and endings, most people get it wrong.
Yeah,
it's like it starts on page 35, sir, and it ended 10 chapters ago.
Yeah, yeah.
10 chapters are over here, but it's ended 10 chapters ago.
I kind of learned that very early on. one of the westerns that I wrote, I had this, I thought, amazing opening couple of chapters, and the editor had a sign said, "Nope, the story starts right here at the start of chapter 3. You can blend this other stuff in later."
Yeah, it could be an absolutely amazing start, just not to this book.
Yeah.
It's not my other book, not this one. Yeah, and okay. I had a folder, it used to be actually a physical paper folder back in the day, of things I had to cut out, and then I would repurpose with the idea of repurposing later on. And then the folder became a computer folder, and I never did after that. Have you ever repurposed something that you cut from a book?
I have, yes. I'll save it, especially if it's 2 or 3 paragraphs. I'll save it. I'll save that. I might use it later.
Right. Yeah, and that's the weirdest thing is it's like maybe it comes back to my dad was involved in construction. We always had like these boxes of small wires, boxes of small bolts, or something like that. It comes back to that, right? It's like you're repurposing something you like. I can't throw this away. Put this here somewhere.
Yeah, this might become something. I've kind of broken into fantasy stories about, well, I guess about 7 or 8 months ago.
Really?
I had this idea for a fantasy story. I had a picture of the opening scene and what it was going to be.
Right.
And I went for years trying to figure out what comes next. I never could figure out what comes next. Couldn't get the characters. One day, my grandson, he was in about 3rd grade, I think, at the time. He wrote a story. He wanted to be like Grandpa, so he wrote a story and laid it on my desk, and I read it. I said, "Wow, this is that story."
This is what comes next.
This is it. Yeah, this is the book. And I wrote the book, and I sent it off to a publisher, and they had it. They held on to it. Really didn't do anything with it. Never published it. So it took me a while to get my rights back, and so it just came out about 8 months ago.
That's cool, and that's an amazing great not kismet synergy, I guess I would say, with the grandson. And I was like, oh, it's like the spark sometimes you need, and sometimes writers, will get accepted somewhere at a publishing house, and then like for me, COVID happened, and the publishing house was like, "We're good." I'm like, "Okay, what do I do with my book now?" Like, I just waited like 2 years for you guys. What the hell,
Mm-hmm.
So you got yours back, which is nice to see.
I did get it back, and finally got it published, and actually did a second one, a book to go with it. It's going to be a trilogy.
Wow, fantasy. How do you genre shift? I mean, you went from paranormal westerns to western to now fantasy. How do you genre shift in your writing like that?
I'm not sure. My editor says I've got lots of voices in my head, and I just
it makes sense.
Whoever speaks up the loudest,
It makes sense. It makes sense. Okay, very cool. When you're doing all of this, how long from, besides the anomalies, besides the ones sometimes like that last fantasy one, how long from start to finish do you usually take for a novel?
Probably about 2 months.
Dang it, I'm a slacker.
Well,
learns he's a slacker.
For one Western series that I did, I did as part of NaNoWriMo, Novel Writing Month.
National Month, yeah.
Yeah, so you had 30 days, to get the 50,000 words in. So I did, I got 4 of those books. I did 3 of them as part. Well, actually, I did all 4 as part of NaNoWriMo, but the last one I didn't get to the 50,000 words.
Oh,
until like the first week of December sometime.
Oh, that's anyone who doesn't know, this is actually an amazing schedule. Like 2 months blows me away. I'm like, whoa, what are you doing? And then the that's November, right?
Right.
Yeah. Okay. And that's I've done that once or twice. There used to be one that was around Labor Day weekend where the entire book had to be done over that weekend. And like this first draft, and they're all like, just so it's your first draft. It's like no one wins, but it's an amazing schedule. Do you ever just, when you blow through these books, you just boom, 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 boom? Do you ever look back and go, "Oh my God, that was a work of like Herculean effort"?
Yeah, occasionally. The second book I did in the Louisiana, the Moon books. I did it. I did it fairly quickly, and when I was writing it, I thought it was a good idea. When I got done and it got published, I thought this book's crap.
Hey,
It's nowhere near as good as the first one. And then I was talking to someone on a podcast, and they said, "What do you mean? That's the one that got all the great reviews and everything." Like,
right,
okay.
I understand that. Sometimes you're like, you guys like this one, really? I hate this one. It's like Radiohead playing Creep again and again and again. They're like, I hate this song. Like, I don't want to play a song ever again.
Yeah.
Like, this is the one you guys like? Okay, whatever.
Yeah.
But we don't never know what's going to hit. You never know what's going to hit. You know what you want to write. You know what has to be written. But as commercial success goes, well,
yeah. I did one. I tell everybody, the characters in my story, they're my invisible friends. They're always around somewhere.
Yeah.
And that kind of got really hit me one time because I had people that began to email me. And the character in this one series, the main character, his name's Ed Landry. And they actually emailed me and said, we're worried about Ed because he never seems to get the girl. And I'm like, he's he's fictional character, right? Like, yeah, but we want to see him get the girl. So actually, I wrote a fourth book in that series, and it's called Lover's Moon, where he gets the girl.
But that's very cute. Well, we grew up with Charlie Brown never getting the girl.
Yeah.
But even the last from Shoals was like, he never got the girl. He apologized. Like, the creator of Charlie Brown apologized for Charlie Brown never getting the girl. So I'm glad you got yours in. Like, that's awesome, man.
Yeah, I told people, when it started, I told people, did you never watch Bonanza growing up? For a woman to fall in love with one of the Cartwrights, that was a death sentence for sure.
Now, as we all did the Bonanza theme song in our head.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. And that was Michael Landon too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like he had a storied career. My gosh, Bonanza, Little House on the Prairie, Highway to Heaven. He just went from hit to hit to hit. It's an amazing time. Okay, as we're getting this into Return to Deadwood, this is going to be out now-ish.
Yes, actually, the ebook launched this morning.
Congratulations! Yay!
The paperback probably won't be available till this afternoon sometime, but
it's all goodness. It's all goodness. And where can we find you? Where can we find this book? Because I believe your author website obviously is one.
Yeah, actually, that's my job for later today, as I've got to get that on the website now that it's launched. But I mean, it's on Amazon. Yeah,
the Amazon with Jack LaFountain's Return to Deadwood on Amazon ebooks. That is an amazing thing. Now, I asked this of all my guests. If you can give young version, like we're talking teenager or below version of you advice, what would it be?
Basically, if you want to write, do it and don't give up, no matter what. I didn't publish my first book till I was in my 50s.
Interesting.
And I didn't start writing full time till I was 65. But
wait. Okay. This just blew my mind. That's great advice, and I think consistency and indomitable spirit. I can never say it. Abominable snowman, indomitable spirit. There we go. One of those things is to never say die, right? Always keep going. I think that's very much needed in life, period.
Oh, yeah.
I agree with that. But you're 65.
It's a pipe dream. Nothing will ever come of it. I told them, I'm not rich, but I've got I told that people email. I've got a following. People waiting for the next book to come. I don't really get it, but.
And that's exactly it. And I believe this was Leanne, one of the trainers, one of the athletic trainers. She would say, only person that really matters your opinion of you is you. Yeah. Everyone else's opinion of you ain't none of your business.
Right. Yeah.
And I'd be much happier for you. Like, you're right, Leanne. I'd be much happier for it if I don't care about anyone else.
Yeah. Yeah.
You can care about people, just not their opinions about you. That's yeah, absolutely. Well, I love it. And I'll tell you this, I might have to go to Deadwood and see you sometime because that sounds amazing. And I'm going to definitely be reading Return to Deadwood.
Yeah.
That's my jam. I grew up on this. 100%.
Yeah, if you like Deadwood, it's the time to be there. Like I said, it's Wild Bill Hickok weekend.
Oh
They
man.
have free concerts. There's everything going on in town. It's a great time to be there.
I got some time off and I got some traveling to do, so I might see you there.
All right.
Well, Jack, thank you very much for your time. And again, you can check out Jack LaFountain. LaFountains. I almost frankified your name again. LaFontaine. No, LaFountain. And Return of Deadwood on Amazon. Check it out. Bye, everyone.